head nerd at that show. Justin Greenberg and Joe Ritter. They do pretty well as second and third nerds as well. The show will return you to a time when homework was for homeroom, and the hardest decision of the day was whether to play a video game, read a comic, or watch a movie. We have our Cars comic books here, so you know what we were doing. And but regardless of that, let's tough it out through this break. We'll be back. Enjoy a little bit of Web Wilder. We'll be back in a minute. Motormouth Radio. Keep it where you got it.
Don't you cry, cry, cry. You turned on the radio and fed me rock and roll. I'm a bye, bye, bye. When it got under my skin, man.
What are all these birds doing here at the radio station?
They're just tweeting.
They're kind of loud.
They'll stop soon. They're about to hit 140 characters.
Huh?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm retweeting that.
Oh no, not again.
You gotta like that.
That tweeter just tweeted all over the equipment.
Do you, or do you not, know about the bird?
Join the conversation on Twitter. Find us at 903-WHPC.
I'm not cleaning that up.
Hey, what's your big idea?
That's 903-WHPC on Twitter. From the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Shake off the realities of the day, broaden your musical horizons, and embrace the diversity every Monday afternoon at 6 on Revelations. The show offers a potently unique collection of music with an emphasis on themes and rock rarities, an occasional tour de force of blues and soul, mixed with compelling sets of folk and folk rock. I'm Steve Kay, and I've got the perfect soundtrack for your drive home every Monday afternoon at 6 on Revelations, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
That's us, toughing it out through the breaks, toughing it out through the tough stuff and the muck stuff and the correspondences and all the stuff that we got to do. It's Ray Guarino.
We have it. We have a very active social media life going on too, and I can't type, so it's kind of hard watching me try to do this. Actually, it's funny. We got to get the video back.
It is kind of funny watching you do it. Yeah, I want to mention one more thing before I forget, because that'll happen. A couple of shows that are coming up that I have to mention. One of them we had talked about a while ago. It was the Long Island Old show. It was in May. It was rescheduled because of May, I think, 40 times. It's their 42nd year, that club, by the way.
Wow.
Well, it ends up, we're going to have the president, the head honcho of that club, in the studio next week to talk, because the show is on July 22nd. That's the
okay, that's the projected date for now. Yeah.
And that's at the Four Towns Firemen's Training Center in Merrick, on Merrick Road. Everybody knows where that is. That we'll follow.
Yeah, it's in Merrick.
Yeah, we'll have more information. Exit M9E will get you there off the Meadowbrook. And next weekend, Sunday, July 15th, this is our own close cohort club, the Centurion Cruisers, are putting on a show at the David Lerner facility. David Leonard Associates, 477 Jericho Turnpike in Syosset. This show's been going on for a number of years. This is the 9th year for that show.
Wow, that's been that long.
Yeah, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the music will be provided by our great friend and compadre, Dennis the Goat Man.
And why do we howl when his goats are more like that?
I know, because we really can't make good... It was, I don't know. But the Brooklyn Time Machine, Dennis's band, will be playing at that event. And if you haven't seen them, you should. They're a really good band. They cover
I've seen them a couple. Yeah, they're good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely a toe-tapping, finger-wagging experience there, yeah.
Right. So, to add to your AC stuff, if I can interject with your story, I was playing with the AC on my Impala this week. Actually, it was from last week. We played with it over at the shop, the local shop. Mike and I were working on it, and couldn't really get a great charge. I couldn't get the cabin under 60 degrees. You looked at the car on Sunday after the show, put your scanner on it, and saw...
Yeah, the high side pressure.
Right. And
that fan circuit code wasn't fun.
Now, the thing was that the other thing that red flagged me was the receiver dryer, the accumulator, wasn't really... And it was 90 degrees. That thing really wasn't sweating and dripping like they typically do.
Right.
So we came to the conclusion that maybe the gauge set was wrong, or maybe that receiver dryer was a little vercocked.
Well, yeah, it's 22 years old, yeah.
And the system had gone down over the winter, so there's...
Right, so that, anytime that, the refrigerant goes out, air comes in, and with air comes moisture.
Right.
And because that thing is filled with desiccant...
Right. That's its job, is to absorb moisture.
Right, and it gets all clogged up and stuff like that. And
well, yesterday...
That's like the one in the El Camino. I mean, that was on there. That thing weighed like 9 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
You knew them. You could sit there and like flip with one hand. And,
same thing. Yesterday...
There's a sign.
Yesterday we changed it. We went down to the other shop that has the snap-on AC machine and put the new receiver dryer in. And, of course, I took the old one home, and you know what I had to do to it.
Oh, yes, you had to do the autopsy on it.
I had to eviscerate it and see the inside. That desiccant pouch was totally sodden with green fluid because we had put dye in the system.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right. The green schming and the I think I saw a couple of little kernels of.
That's because I nicked the bag with the hacksaw.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I did. I didn't know how far up to go, and I didn't have my X-ray vision wasn't working, so I had to just wing it.
I know. Well, basically the fact that the desiccant got inundated and. They after a while, those things, those are a big part of the flow of the system.
Right.
And, the oil hangs out in there, too.
Sure.
So there's a lot of stuff in there that once that starts restricting flow, and maybe screws with the pressure drop or lack thereof, AC system is not going to work right. I mean, AC in some ways is very simple, and in other ways it could drive you nuts. It's a matter of knowing where things are supposed to be hot, where things are supposed to be cold. People laugh at me because when I'm not using the thermal camera or the infrared gun, I just start feeling up pipes.
Right.
And
that's how you got through high school.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how you got that nickname, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah, and also those yellow marks on my fingers and
those red marks on your face.
Yeah.
The 5-finger.
The 5
tattoo.
The 5 fingers of Jesuit education. Yeah.
My bottom line to my story was after the receiver dryer and of course the evacuation and refill with fresh refrigerant, the cabin temperature was right down to 40 degrees, icy cold.
Ain't that nice?
The receiver dryer was sweating. Bang, everything is fine. So I did have a leak. I noticed in the high side line, we thought it was a valve. Mike checked it yesterday. It's not a valve. It's actually a spring-loaded ball valve. From the bottom, and that's where we were leaking. So if that has to be...
Where was this valve?
It's in the high side, under the high side cap. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if that has to be fixed, it's the whole line that has to come out.
Well, sometimes the seal on the valve goes bad. But that's one of the things we ended up doing on the Camino too. Is we took you can't use a tire valve, by the way. You should you shouldn't use a tire valve.
No.
But the seals on those degrade. Not to mention, those caps that everybody goes and flings off.
Yeah.
You should really use them.
Yeah.
Because you know what. Some systems, GM actually had a technical service bulletin on. Make sure you put the cap on because there may be a bit of leakage, because nothing's ever perfect. Or if you take the gauges on and off, it may not, the valve may not spring back correctly.
Right.
But that stupid little cap could save you from.
It's just like putting the cap back on your tire if you put air in the tire.
Correct.
Yeah.
So in those things are there for a reason. I'm a big
what I don't. This is what I don't get, Joe. I'm known for my fanaticism of tire pressure checking and adjusting. I'm known.
Really?
Renowned for that. So
do you mean the fact that you got the tire gauge in a holster on right now on your belt there?
Exactly.
The way I keep scan tools and meters, you got tire gauges.
I was going to have it like on my wrist, so I could just like that gun where you just move your wrist and it pops out of your sleeve.
Yeah.
And you got it in your hand. I'm working on that. But I've seen this many times on my own cars. I have the car in the driveway, and I wash the car, clean the wheels, a lot of water and soap involved, whatever, and then remove the tire cap later to adjust the tires and get water.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. The valve cap was on, and they weren't, not cracked. They have integrity.
Right.
And I'm wondering, how did that water get under the valve, the plastic cap, after a car wash? So it kind of defies logic. I haven't figured it out yet.
Lack of a perfect seal or condensation would be my 2 votes.
Yeah.
But then again... fact that you have them off on a regular basis to check them, I mean, that's almost like I would say that's almost a non-issue. But still, you're right. Well, that's kind of like, remember we used to try to figure out why there was that little thing of fog on the windshields.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those.
Right. I was just talking about that yesterday.
Phenomenons that that one of these days science will come up with an answer.
It makes for good kumbaya talk when you're around the shop with the guys and you're hanging around and you say, "Hey, Sam, I was always wondering about that little condensation spot on the windshield. What do you know about that?" "Well, let me tell you about that, Joe." And then the theories expound and things start flowing, and they start flowing. All right.
Oh,
in fact, wait a minute.
You get the right person.
Let me lube the old brain and see if I can come up with some information on you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as you don't see little bubbles, I mean, it doesn't turn into the Nassau bubble machine.
No.
Then it's okay. Yeah.
Right. So
but let's face it. Yeah, that's nothing seals perfectly.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, there are most things on a vehicle when they're done right are pretty tight. Mm-hmm. You know, and then over the years they do lose a little bit of their integrity, or there's a couple 3%.
Yeah.
It's interesting that 134 systems, because of the type of rubber that they use and the technology with the valves and whatnot, they hold their charge. I mean, I'm not going to jinx anything, but I know quite a few 134 vehicles that still have very close to their original AC charge.
Yeah, mine was fine until it went to a certain shop to have some work done years ago. And then when I did, just to interject, I noticed when I took the lines off the accumulator, the two O-rings that were on the bigger lines were black O-rings. I'm saying AC O-rings are supposed to be green.
That's correct.
Why were they black?
Well, it also could be that some of the O-rings actually were not green; they were coated.
Okay,
they were coated for identification purposes, and I know because when I was slathering the O-rings that I was using before I installed them, and I was like, "What are you doing that for? Just put them." I'm like, "No, because when they sit." You know, when you go to put them into place, if they're lubricated, they sit down correctly, because if they bind or whatever, now they might tear, or so I'd rather just feel that nice little engagement there, which is one less eliminates one more possibility of a leak.
My wife asked me a number of years ago when I was going out to the garage to rebuild a carburetor. Mm-hmm. She asked me why I was carrying a jar of Vaseline. And I said, Why do you want to know? I'm
going to write the bill for the customer. Yeah.
And I explained to her that, I'm doing a Holly 600, dear. Mm-hmm. You know, it has that transfer tube. I said, and I always like to just
pre-lube them,
the O-rings.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I keep a jar of Vaseline near all of my carburetor rebuilding stations. I do have a few of them, folks, yes.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. As a matter of fact, you're going to be getting one pretty soon from a certain Nova.
All right.
We got a Holly kit for it. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're not messing with this thing, you know.
Okay. You're not in my laboratory now. Now I'm playing with those carburetor kits that I got off of Amazon that so far have worked fine. Right. But they're still. I mean, I've used one, so
Well, I have heard one of the things that they can kind of send me in that direction is. Doing a little conversation amongst my industry cohorts there. The later O-rings and seals and accelerated pump diaphragms and so forth, because of the amount of ethanol that's used in gas. All right, they have upped the amount of Viton. Viton is the component in the rubber that keeps them from self-destructing.
Not to be confused with the high performance trannies that were Vitar.
Oh, yes, that was Vinny. Yeah,
Vinny Alessi.
Yeah, there you go. See, and
Mike just went, "Hey, I know that guy."
And what ends up happening is that there was a big batch of
actually, it was Select Performance. They sold Vitar, but it was Select Performance is the name of the
it was Jimmy. Yeah.
Anyway,
okay, that part of my brain isn't awake yet. There's got to be coffee around here someplace.
That's all right.
But what happened is there was a bunch of rubber with a low concentration of Viton, and they made a whole bunch of various carburetor components that were not quite as ethanol resistant as they ought to be, or they were okay, but anyway, long story short, there's a lot of them out there. So
fascinating.
The next batch I don't think hasn't been whipped up just yet.
Right. So I'll tell you what is whipped up. Our next break.
Yeah?
I tell you what we're going to do. Motormouth Radio, Ray Guarino, Joe D. Add in, give the phone number, 516-572-7440.
Yeah, come on, call us. My throat's getting tired here.
We're going to just run with it, so stick with us for a minute or two, and we'll be right back.